Greetings! Welcome to Sunday Morning Announcements with the Jocelyn Gray avatar. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, please subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, say hi in the chat. We'd love to say hello back. If you're with us in person, hello everybody here! And if this is your first visit, please sign the guest book, either in the lobby or online at uplifting.org/guest. The service today, Seeds for a New Year, with a message from Reverend Dr. Sofía Betancourt, President of the Unitarian Universalist Association. What seeds are you planting for the new year? How are you weaving your magic into your relationships with others? How can we center beauty and goodness and love in all that's ahead? We hope you can stick around after the service today for Talkback, where we gather in a circle and discuss the service. For those online, see the Zoom chat at the end of the service for the meeting information. Adult Religious Exploration returns at 11:15 a.m. in the Hope Library, with a friendly game of Cards Against Humanity. Please note that the White Accountability Group, which previously met on the first and third Sunday, will now be meeting once a month on the fourth Sunday at 12:30 p.m. The Worship Ministry team will be meeting today in the Hope Common Room at 2 p.m. Anyone who wants to help put our services together, or just see how it's done, is encouraged to attend. Coming up this week, our Widening the Circle of Concern work group continues to meet on Monday at 7 p.m. Please join us by attending the weekly meeting and or submitting your comments and suggestions via email at wcoc@oakcliffuu.org. The Coordinating Council will meet this Tuesday, the 9th, via Zoom. The CC consists of ministry and committee chairs, and is led by Vice President Sarah Rickey. The Social Justice Ministry Reading Group meets Thursdays, except the third Thursday, at 7:30 via Zoom. Email Mavis for more info on this week's special video offering. Next Sunday, it's the second Sunday Jazz Jam in the Sanctuary from 3 to 5 p.m. Come play, sing, or just listen. You are welcome to bring food and drink for yourself or to share. Admission is free, but there is a tip jar for the musicians. The following Monday is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and newsflash, we did not miss the deadline for the Dallas MLK Day Parade, and we are registered to participate. Who can join us? We'll have our banners and a decorated car that can accommodate up to 3 people who may not want to walk the mile-long parade route. Look for the sign-up sheet in the pass-through, or see Kathy, or email wag@oakcliffuu.org. Reminder, the DEI workshop will be on Saturday, January 27th, from 9 a.m. to noon, in Charity North. Please sign up as soon as possible once the registration form is available, so we can prepare the appropriate number of study binders, ensure that we have adequate refreshments on hand, and make any needed accessibility arrangements. Doors will open at 8:30 a.m. for coffee and mingling. Keep watching your eBlast newsletter for more info on all of this and more. Not receiving the eBlast? Just sign up at oakcliffuu.org/enews. It's that easy. That's it for now. I hope you all have a great week.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Let us begin our sacred work with this blessing from Reverend Bruce Southworth. For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul. Please rise, embody your spirit, as we sing our opening hymn, led by Kate.
I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Thanks, y'all. That was a little...
In our community, we take time each week to share what's in our hearts and on our minds. If your heart's heavy today, know that you don't have to carry that heartache alone. Together, we can offer comfort. Please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger or speak them aloud.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
We also share our joys with one another, knowing that joy calls unto joy, amplified. Together, our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. Please share your joys publicly by posting them to the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger or speak them aloud. Welcome to the UU Church of Oak Cliff. Here, we seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that strives to value the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. I don't see any visitors in the house, but I don't know who's online. So, to our returning visitors, we're so happy that you've joined us again. We know your time is precious, and we're honored to have you here today. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to any who are joining us for the first time. We recognize the bravery it takes to come into a new place, in person or online, and we're glad you're here. Ours is a covenantal church. Latin for come together. Covenant means a solemn agreement or promise from the heart regarding a course of action between parties. The practice of promising to walk together is the core of our faith. Simply put, it's a guide for the behavior we expect from ourselves and each other. We are bound together by the promises we make to one another, and we recite our covenant during every worship service. Please rise in body or spirit as we recite our covenant, which appears magically on the screen. Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus, we do covenant together. And Sherry will lead us in Spanish.
Porque nos amamos uno al otro, honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y acepción. Así que hacemos pacto.
Thank you. Please be seated. We're grateful to the Unitarian Universalist Association, UUA, for providing several elements of our worship service today, including the sermon, Seeds for the New Year, by Dr. Sofía Betancourt. Reverend Dr. Betancourt was the first woman to serve as UUA president when she was appointed as one of the 3 interim co-presidents who briefly served in 2017 following the resignation of Reverend Peter Morales several months before the end of his second term. Elected in June 2023 to succeed Reverend Dr. Susan Frederick Gray, Reverend Dr. Betancourt is now the 10th president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and is the first woman of color and openly queer person to be elected to the office. Reverend Dr. Betancourt's 20-year ministry has included serving as a parish minister, seminary professor, scholar, environmental activist, and public theologian. Rooted in her lived identities as a queer, multiracial, Afro-Latin first-generation daughter of immigrants from Chile and Panama, Reverend Dr. Betancourt has already helped Unitarian Universalism live further into its commitments to be radically welcoming, counter-oppressive, pluralistic faith movement. In addition to her many years of service as director of the UUA's Office of Racial and Ethnic Concerns and on many denominational leadership bodies, she most recently served as resident scholar and special advisor on justice and equity at the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Although she is not with us in person today, she is most definitely with us in spirit. Please join me now in welcoming Reverend Dr. Betancourt to our pulpit as she opens with a story time for all ages.
Our story today is adapted from one of my favorite authors, Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasinha, and it is called The Bridge of Flowers. Now, I need you to know that this story is told in the voice of a young girl who loves her family very much. Here we go. I am quiet, and I listen a lot, and that's why I get to tell this story. So here's what happened. My mom, Soraya, is a witch. And that means that she listens to people talk and she makes potions for them out of flowers and dirt and rocks and sometimes even spit to help them with their problems. My Papa, Kamau, is a scientist, and they spend a lot of their time looking at tiny pieces of moss under lots of different microscopes. When Mom and Papa fell in love, they planted 2 trees, close enough together that they could be near each other, but far enough apart to have room to grow. So Mom cast a spell, and Papa settled down lots of fertilizer, and the 2 trees grew quickly and really, really tall. Now, Mom and Papa really love each other. They don't always love living together. Right? Soraya has a tendency to leave crystals and lipstick and bacon grease everywhere, and Papa likes clean counters so that the bacon grease doesn't end up in their experiments. They fight about this sometimes. Soraya thinks that bacon grease and crystals and lipstick are part of the magic. Papa says clean counters are magical too. So eventually, Soraya and Kamau decided to live close together, but also apart. And they built houses, tree houses, in those very same trees that they planted when they fell in love. And most importantly, between the 2 houses, they wove a bridge of flowers so you could get back and forth whenever you wanted to. That bridge had roses and sunflowers. It had little yellow flowers whose names I don't remember. It had cactuses, one of which was the parent of my own personal cactus, Agnes, You'll hear more about her later. It was a beautiful bridge, and it allowed us to go back and forth whenever we wanted to see each other. Now, my sibling Kumar, after a while, added a skateboarding ramp to the bridge. They would go to the bridge, do an ollie, land on the ramp, go around, and do the whole thing again. It kept our family woven together. Me, I stay inside often, and I journal, and I'm quiet. Sometimes outside is just too much. But late at night, when the whole world is listening, I like to sit in the middle of the bridge and breathe. Now, one day, times got really stressful in the world, and Mom tried to help more and more people, and she picked more and more flowers from the bridge for her potions. And Bappa, they were doing more work to try to clean the air, and they took more mosses and lichens from the bridge. They did this work to support the community, and they picked more flowers and more mosses and more lichens. And one morning, when we went outside, we saw that they had picked too much, and the bridge had collapsed. Mom and Bappa started fighting about whose fault it was. We just don't have time to deal with this. And they went back to work. This is something parents do sometimes when they're stressed. But Kumar and I didn't think this was okay. Some members of the community suggested that we didn't need a bridge. After all, Soraya had a ramp, Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if we couldn't get to each other. But Kumar and I liked the ease of back and forth. What if I left Agnes in the wrong house? What if Kumar needed their backpack? We decided something had to be done. Now, I don't always get along with my sibling, but we talked about it and we strategized and we came up with an idea. So I went to Mom's cabinet, you know, the one she doesn't lock because she trusts us. I took some of her magical honey and her special dirt and seeds, and Kumar took lichens and mosses from Bappa's lab. And we came and we brought our hands together and we thought about what we most wanted. We closed our eyes and we wished for that to come back into being. When we opened our eyes, the bridge was back. But it didn't just connect our houses. It connected our houses and our libraries and the place where Soraya and Kamau go for organizing meetings. It connected us to the shelter and the food bank and all around the community. And the bridge was beautiful. So we went to wake up Soraya and Kamau to show them what we had done, but they were already awake. They were up late, working on saving the world. But they came outside with us and saw the bridge, and it was good. So it turns out that I have magic too, even though I'm quiet. Or maybe because I'm quiet, I have magic. And it's good to live with people you love and to sometimes have enough space for yourself and for growth. And the truth is that sometimes when we least know what we're doing, it's when we are at our most magical. And that is the end of our story. My beloved housemate and chosen family, the Reverend Dr. Devorah Greenstein, has been excited about winter sowing lately. This is the practice of starting seeds outdoors in the winter months, long before most of us think about planting gardens. It's a fairly simple and practical idea. Most gardeners save plastic containers from around the house that we might otherwise recycle, and we prepare them with soil and seeds and lids so they can protect the potential that they house through the coldest months of the year. Why do we do this? Couldn't we look at beautiful pictures and seed catalogs instead and dream of all that we might plant in the spring months? I know that has long been my personal practice. Why would we follow what for some of us are the winter holidays by tucking tiny kernels of life into unlikely spaces? I've decided to embrace this idea of setting seed long before signs of life will be visible as a type of leaning in to the new year. How many of us, like me, have gotten into a habit of disparagement at the year's turning? I remember holiday ornaments in 2020 that had language I probably shouldn't repeat in the pulpit without good cause, woven into these beautiful snowflakes. I think we still have a small plastic dumpster with flames coming out of the top as a representation of our disparagement and dismay with the year prior. I can't remember if it was 21 or 22. Politics, pandemics, and ideologies have turned what I used to associate with fireworks and other festive celebrations into a kind of creative dismissal of all that has come to pass in the prior 12 months. Don't misunderstand me. I fully embrace the power of humor that allows us to laugh our way closer to hopefulness and possibility. We need more of that. And I'm not here to censor how we keep ourselves going in difficult times. But as often happens in my life, I can hear the echoes of my grandmother's teachings when I get a little too comfortable in how I process all the things. She used to teach me about the magic at the turning of the year, and she encouraged me to do whatever thing I most want to spend my time on or have shape the year to come, just as the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. I think this is related to that tradition of kissing a loved one right at the end of the countdown. Her encouragement reminds me that even in those most difficult years of active quarantine in the face of this ongoing pandemic, there were beautiful things to be proud of that didn't belong in the dumpster fire, for all that it made us laugh in those isolating days. A lot of that pride for me was grounded in the ways that our congregations and communities showed up for one another, showed up for the work of justice. It was grounded in my gratitude for our religious professionals, for our lay leaders and our national UUA staff as they pivoted and resourced and supported us through the unknown. Most are still recovering from that nonstop labor. Beloveds, we leaned into community care in profound ways, and I am so proud of how we continue to do so, even as many of us, though not all of us, experience fewer restrictions in our activities than we did then. We built magical bridges, the very kinds of connections and interdependence that we continue to live into together in new ways. Those bridges between and among us require tending, as does the religious witness that we hold together in the world in common cause. In the story that I shared for today's service, we learned about a family negotiating their relationships to one another in their day-to-day living. In The Bridge of Flowers by Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasinha, she invites us to consider the beauty in how we intentionally maintain our connections to each other and invest in bringing our values to bear in the world. This unique bridge, connecting people across love, across differences in how they approach everyday life, their belief systems, and community engagement, still allows for the creation of beauty and magic, as beauty and science and magic weave together a path that can be navigated by everyone. It keeps them connected to their children, to their people, keeps them connected even when stress seems to rob them of their joy. I probably don't need to remind you that when times were difficult and two people who loved one another profoundly gave more than they could sustainably give to maintain and support their surrounding communities, the Bridge of Flowers collapsed. Not only did it collapse, but some outside of their nuclear family discouraged them from rebuilding the bridge. Soraya had a ramp after all, and Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if they could no longer reach each other with enough effort, but the love at the center of their living space was missing, and it took beauty and magic from unexpected places to reweave the interdependence that had long nurtured that family. I can imagine my grandmother telling those children to hold the seeds and the dirt and the honey and the spores together at midnight at the turning of the year. Of course, we still have time to set intentions or to weave magic for 2024, and the purposeful naming of what we most long to turn our focus toward feels important in this story. What are you most proud about from 2023? In what ways did your congregation or community encourage you to live more fully into all that you hold most precious in this past year? How did they surprise you? How did you surprise yourself? Imagine that the great potential of our liberal and liberating tradition could be nurtured through the coming months in something as simple as a reused gallon jug. Maybe there is soil in the surrounding area that is already adapted to the climate where you live, or maybe you have collected seeds from plants that have grown more savvy about their surroundings over the years. I believe that our Unitarian Universalist faith is uniquely suited to the work of justice, to showing up for the rights and freedom of all. We have everything we need to respond to these times, even in moments of devastation or fear, even when bombs fall, even when ideologies of hatred and separation are lauded around the nation, even when the bridge that holds our hopes and dreams manages somehow to fall. There is a power and a hopefulness in how each one of us can set our intentions for the coming year and not wait on sun or bird song or better weather to do the work of new growth. Like Earth itself can cradle our dreaming as we gear up for all that is yet to come. To put those kinds of efforts at faithful living into another kind of theological context, I want to remind us of the writings of the Reverend Kenneth Patton on the Temple of Beauty. I consider Patton one of our modern Universalist theologians whose draw to universal religion was such that he theorized the idea of a religion for one world, and he worked to bring it into being at the Charles Street Meeting House in Boston. This was Patton's commitment, the seeds he planted into the great potential of our faith. For Patton, universalism needed to be expanded. It needed to be made large enough to become an expression that included a universal humanity, universal peace, universal welfare, universal health, universal freedom, universal security, universal science and understanding. I can imagine him reweaving a bridge of flowers with these words from his 1964 book, A Religion for One World, where in trying to describe for us how we might learn to live together in community with all of humankind, he writes, "This is one world. You are one humanity. Live, therefore, in peace and till the garden of the earth. Make your days and the years of your children a glad time upon the earth." Patton believed that religion, when drawn beyond the bounds of any one culture, any one expression, or any one group of people, contained within it the possibility of bringing into being all that is most right in the world. So here, goodness, freedom, justice, understanding, kindness, consideration, and the dismantling of discrimination and prejudice all reach their most noble, compassionate, and complete dignity, grace, and power. It's a lot to expect from one universal tradition. But Patton believed that the potential for this possibility lay within reach, if only we could learn and find good ways to describe it and to teach ourselves how to recognize it in its echoes through human art and human culture. Now, I know that we have learned a great deal about the dangers of trying to define one big T truth that is available for all people. Right? It's not the availability that is the issue. It's the likelihood that one dominant group's perspective will be elevated as the ultimate goal to the erasure of all other cultural and communal expressions. That is not what Patton is calling for. But still we know, right, to hold ourselves accountable to the impact of power in those scenarios. But what I most want to hold on to from Patton's thinking is the very practical idea that liberals need good language and ideals to describe the things that we most long to bring into being. Our very pluralistic approach to Unitarian Universalism can make agreeing on shared language difficult, and without it, it's hard to collaborate with one another or to hold on to all that we hold dear. For Patton, the highest ideal that we can strive for in all of our efforts is beauty. I don't think he meant that in a temporary or frivolous or vain kind of a way. He writes that unlike goodness or truth, words that we often lift as ideals in our tradition, beauty includes the highest expression of our values. Right? He argues that there can be truth that is not beautiful, goodness that is not beautiful, but that beauty as its core is both truthful and good. And he reminds us that every expression of beauty born of our human interconnections serves as a kind of prophetic witness to what might best heal this world. Patton calls us to build temples of beauty. For me, those would probably take the form of gardens, and to fill them with everything that will preach our greatest ideals on our behalf. So what beauty do you most want to call into being in 2024? How are your congregations and your communities leaning into all that is most needed in this coming year? How are you helping to keep those bridges well tended? From the perspective that I am privileged to hold as the president of your Unitarian Universalist Association, I can tell you that there is already a lot to be proud of in our efforts in community. I hear from our field staff that care for each other far beyond the bounds and the limits of Unitarian Universalism remains the bedrock of this faith. I hear from our organizing strategy team again and again as they work with partner organizations around the country that they are thanked for the ways that you serve as the dependable core of volunteer efforts for justice in their communities. I get to witness the ways in which our national level volunteers all across our tradition give their very best to keeping the values and the ideals of Unitarian Universalism alive in the world. And sometimes I get to sit with a few of you in small groups where I'm told again and again how this faith saves lives. Beloveds, I'm not here to tell you what seeds to plant in the coming year. I can tell you some of mine. In this shared ministry and with the wisdom of so many others by my side, I am tucking the seeds of climate justice into my winter sowing this year. Alongside it go the seeds of democratic strategy, bodily autonomy, and decriminalization. With your dedicated national staff, I get to plant seeds of accountability in ministry and congregational life, seeds of leadership development, resource production, ministry with youth and families, and greater equity among our religious professionals writ large. Together, we will continue to sow seeds that protect the most vulnerable among us, and together we will you the vote again in this coming year. The garden of my dreams is born of the great potential that I know lives at the heart of this faith, and the love that we call into being at the center of it all is more than enough to help our dreaming bear fruit. Loves, these have been challenging times, and the beauty that we bring into being together will be enough. May 2024 shower you in blessings, and may you in turn take those blessings and share them in the world. Thank you for all that you are and for all that you will yet do. May it be so. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
This next hymn, many of you may recall as Standing on the Side of Love. Well, as we know better and do better, in the words of Maya Angelou, the words and the lyrics have been changed to Answering the Call of Love, in order for us to be a more loving and embracing community. A few differences in standing, although it's a verb, it's a very stationary verb. Answering is a constant action that we have to do, and I feel like it's incredibly appropriate. Thank you for choosing this, Sherry. Given our message today that we are constantly getting out of our comfort zone, answering the different calls that we hear in today's world, where we get to know a lot more, a lot faster than we used to. So please join in body or spirit, rise if you may or wish to answer the call of love.
Tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. A brand new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call. Together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Nice to have a new hymn added to the round. Good morning, everybody. In the spring of 2021, UUCOC added a second covenant to our weekly worship service. Our Widening the Circle of Concern, WCOC, work takes its name from an in-depth UUA study that was published in 2020 and with which we have been actively engaged ever since. The words of this covenant are in your order of service and will also appear on the screen behind me. Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Thank you. It's a bit of a coincidence that our widening moment today, in which we lift up the voices and history of people of color in our faith, was written by someone who shares some parallels with Reverend Dr. Betancourt. What first caught my eye about this selection was the title, Ultimate Grace. I was like, I got to read that. This prayer was published in around 2015 by Ma Teresa Tet Castillo Gallardo. In spring 2019, when the Reverend Tet Gallardo was elected President Executive Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines, UUCP, she made history. Reverend Tet, as she likes to be known, whose election occurred on April 26th of that year, Lesbian Visibility Day, is the first out lesbian and first trans president in the UUCP Church's history. She believes she may be the first out lesbian and first trans cleric in the non-Western world. Like Reverend Dr. Betancourt, Reverend Tet has also served as a teacher, leader, and activist in Unitarian Universalism for decades. And when I read the prayer that she had authored back then, I thought, oh yes, absolutely, I want to share this. Ultimate grace, the heart of every matter, in every perfection and imperfection, in all senses and tenses, in moments of every right and wrong, presenting choices to inquiring hearts. You are in the purpose and the journey of mishaps. You are in moments of understanding and misunderstanding. We have but to seek and invoke you and enable the work of your Spirit. As prayer is but an articulated common dream, we invoke our ultimate concern for the work of faith. We long to be hand in hand, creating a world where everyone belongs. Free us from our hindrances. Make invisible things visible, the voiceless heard. Lay what is hidden before us. Make the chained unbound, the doubting believe. What is confusing, let clarify, as hardened hearts grow soft to the touch. May we come in fullness with gratefulness and faithfulness to one another. May we speak in kind conversing, disclosing our truths with care, expressing our practical wisdom to learn of its practical limits. For the world was not meant to be possessed by a singular truth, but to be built together upon revelations. O universe with stars in your hair, you have shown that great things emerge from humble beginnings, no matter how flawed and lacking. That one story in a stable, in prison, in the cave, in destitution, in abject poverty, if lived in all sincerity, can liberate from darkness the many. May our eyes seek to appreciate, our breaths to dedicate power, our hands to warm each other. When loving fearlessly, we are invincible. When free will is deliberate, we are pivotal. When dreaming together, we are infinite. Remind us of the very questions that we have turned away from, that we thought could not be answered or are impossible to realize. Dear universal intelligence, your embrace contains everything but confines nothing. In the ever insistence of existence, may this one moment count. Amen.
A few words for our offering today. What We Say Yes To by Reverend Erica Hewitt. The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission of building beloved community. Members, if you're contributing cash toward your pledge, please use the envelope provided and write your name on it. To text your donation, see the number on your order of service. For more options, see oakcliffuu.org/donate.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De Dio recibo a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De Dio recibo a ti te doy, así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Our reading today is A Winter Blessing by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. In the shadowed quiet of winter's light, earth speaks softly of her longing, because the wild places are in tears. Come, she cries to us, kneel down here on the frosty grass and feel the prayer buried in the ground. Bend your ear to my heart and listen hard. Love this world, she whispers. Distill peace from the snow and water the cities with mercy. Weave wonder from the forest and clothe grief with beauty. Rest in the rhythm of the turning year. Trace the bending arc rounding the curve to justice and vow anew to do no harm. The winter trees stand watch, haloed in the last gleams of the slanting sun. Glory sings here. Heaven echoes the call. Repeat the sounding joy. Make your life an answer. Bow, praise, rise.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.